Hi, my name's Becky, and today I'm going to be telling you 20 things that people who self-harm do not want to be hearing. Stop being so overly dramatic. Okay, first off, people who self-harm, they keep everything to themselves, pretty much, you know. They keep all their feelings to themselves. They don't want anybody else to know. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. You have no good reason to be doing that. Like, really? Really? You know what? Somebody who self-harms doesn't have to have a good reason. In fact, every reason is a good reason, okay? There are so many different reasons for somebody to be self-harming. Just because in your eyes it's not a good reason doesn't mean it's not as valid. So, like, were you not strong enough to end it all? Whew, I need to breathe right now before I punch somebody in the face with this one. Somebody who self-harms, it does not mean that they are suicidal. It doesn't mean they're gonna go and kill themselves, okay? Yes, somebody who is suicidal may be self-harming. It doesn't always go in a box together. But telling them you're not strong enough to end it all, how do you think that makes them feel? They feel pretty low already. You just probably are making them feel their lowest. You know, telling them that they're not strong enough, or asking them, well, you're not strong enough to end it all? No, because they didn't want to end it all. They're not suicidal, okay? It doesn't mean that they're suicidal. It doesn't mean they're gonna go and top themselves, okay? This is one that really does annoy me. This was one that I was told a lot. And then I'd get people saying, oh, that's right, you couldn't do it, could you? And it's like, why say that to somebody? You can see they're having a hard time as it is, and then you're telling them that they're not strong enough. Yeah, if you're one of those people, you can leave right now. Sorry, leave. Bye-bye. So, what did you use? Okay, let me get this straight. You're asking somebody who is self-harming what they use to do it. This is not good, okay? This is not good. Somebody who self-harms, their tools are a very private thing. It's something they use, and they don't want anybody to know what it is. Or, remember, I'm speaking from what I felt anyway. You don't want anybody else to know what it is you're using, because that's your own personal thing. It's a real privacy thing, I find anyway. And you shouldn't be asking them what they use to do it anyway, because it's just completely out of order. Why would you want to make yourself ugly? Somebody who is self-harming, they're not trying to make themselves ugly. They have a mental illness. They are hurting themselves to let their feelings out. They're not trying to make themselves ugly. But with me, I already felt ugly as it was, so the self-harm wasn't a way of making myself even more ugly, okay? It was a way to let your emotions out. Can you please cover that up with long sleeves? I shouldn't have to see that. Right, okay. Somebody who's self-harming, or maybe they've stopped, and it's scars on their arms, right? They may have only just been able to go out without wearing long sleeves. It takes a hell of a lot to be able to go out without wearing long sleeves, because you want to cover everything up. It takes so much courage, and you tell them that, they're gonna not ever want to do that again. They want to be able to go out and live their life, and if they can't go out without having to wear long sleeves the whole time, they may not feel like they can. Of course, they'll be living their life, but having to work out what they're gonna wear so they can go out without it affecting other people. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Promise me. You need to promise me that you will never do that again. This is one that I was asked a lot, or told a lot, and as much as that person is trying to help, and I really do understand, you're trying to help that person to get out of it, but it's a coping mechanism, and asking them not to do it can be quite fatal, because they're going to want to try and please you and make sure that they don't do it. But recovery is a process, it's not perfection. You're going to have relapses, they're going to have relapses, and you can't expect them to just give it up. It's a coping mechanism that they've had probably for quite a while, and you asking them not to do it again it'll be quite hard on them. And if they do relapse, or if they do what you say and then they have a day where they do self-harm again, they're gonna feel really, really bad because they've let you down. How can you do that to me? Self-harm isn't about you, okay? Somebody who has got a lot of emotions going on are taking it out on themselves. They're not doing it to you, and if you feel like they are, they're not doing it on purpose. They're hurting themselves. And yes, seeing a loved one or a friend or somebody who is hurting themselves, it can be traumatizing, it can be upsetting, it can be horrible. But they're not doing it to upset you. They're doing it to hurt themselves. Whatever, it's your body, you do what you want. Okay, this now sounds like you just do not care whatsoever about them. And that makes them feel really bad because they want to know that you're there. They want to know that you care about them, and telling them whatever, you do what you want, it's your body. That's not good. That just sounds like you're being really careless and you don't care about them. This next one is a very common one. You're just doing it for attention. Seriously, the next person who says that, I'm going to punch them in the face. Let me just say this. Most people who self-harm, they don't do it for attention, right? Okay? They do it, as I keep saying, and I will keep saying this to get it through to people. People who self-harm, they're doing it to themselves so they can let their emotions out. You think people will love you with those scars? You know, if somebody doesn't love you because you've got scars on your arms or your legs, or you've got cuts or whatever it is, if they don't love you because of that, they're not worth it. So, in the end, you will find somebody who loves you for who you are, even though you have those scars. You're being so ungrateful. This is one that comes up quite a lot, and you know, people say this to people who self-harm because they're saying, at least you're not in Africa, at least you've got a roof over your head, at least you've got food on the table, at least you've got friends and family that love you. Yeah, okay, because when you self-harm, as I've said, you have a mental illness that is very hard to deal with, okay? But just because you have a roof over your head or food on the table, it doesn't mean you're not going to suffer, okay? It just doesn't mean that. Ooh, what are those? This is one that really annoys me because it's when people are pointing things out on your body, especially when you feel so vulnerable about them anyway. It can be a really hard thing, and especially if you're in a public place and somebody points them out. And I know some people say, well, you shouldn't go out then, or you shouldn't go out with short sleeves on. Okay, that's your opinion, right? But it shouldn't stop people from going out, but also people shouldn't point it out. You're too pretty to hurt yourself. Beauty and what you look like has nothing to do with whether you self-harm or not. I think I said this in a previous video when I've been talking about self-harm, is you could be the most beautiful woman on this earth and you could still self-harm. Or you could be the most handsome guy and you could still be self-harming. Are you emo? Just because you're self-harming, it does not mean you're emo. Just because you're emo, it doesn't mean you're going to be self-harming. It goes both ways. So, like, where do you actually do it? Okay, like, I'm going to tell you that. Somebody who self-harms, normally they will do it where you can't see it. Or they'll try and do it where you can't see it. Why would they want anybody else to know where they are self-harming? You don't want people to know where you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself on purpose. Why would you want to tell somebody? The answer is, you wouldn't. So do not ask them, because the likelihood of them telling you is very minuscule and you'll probably scare them and frighten them. Now the next two are kind of related to depression as well. But you seem so happy. Right. I seem so happy. That's what a smile does. I can pretend to be somebody else. I'm not going to walk around and look miserable, am I? You don't seem depressed. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I forgot to bring my daily rain cloud with me. That's just something I've wanted to say to somebody every time they've said, you don't look depressed, or you seem so happy. I just want to say, yeah, I'm sorry, forgot my rain cloud today. Because when somebody's depressed or they're self-harming, you know, normally they pretend that they're okay because they don't want to worry you. That's why. They don't want to worry you about what's going on in their life. So they pretend to be happy and they pretend to be okay. So if you ask them how they are or if they're okay, they're going to say they're fine. They don't want to worry you. You're being so selfish. Your life isn't that hard. Do you know what's going on in their head? And telling them that their life isn't that hard. It's just one of the worst things you can say. I hate it when people say that. Because you've no idea how hard someone's life can be mentally. I don't get it. No, you don't. I don't get it. How are you supposed to get it if I don't know how to explain it myself? I don't know why I do it, but I do. So how is anybody else supposed to understand what's going on? They're not. So thank you for watching, everyone. I haven't done a self-harm video in a while and I really wanted to do this. So what I thought I'd do for my next video is talk about what to say to somebody who self-harms, because I think it's just as important to understand what not to say as it is on what to say, because you can know not to say these things now, but the next thing is to know what can I say to them that's not going to upset them or affect them in a negative way. You want to know what to say. So I'll do that video, and when that's up I will link it in the description. So thank you for watching. I want you all to remember you're all amazing and you're your own person, you're individual, and that is amazing to be somebody different. You're all worth recovery, and I want you to believe that. It's a process, not perfection. Don't rush it. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.